Big great night last night.
First off, last
heads in here.
Last night was awesome. Last night was awesome. It was some of the most nostalgic stuff I've ever been through in my life. I hope it stays forever.
They did it up right.
I was 7 years old, watching the NBA on NBC all over again while my dad smoked a cigarette behind his newspaper because my dad's never been a basketball fan and never will be a basketball fan. And I'm just sitting there going, look at Michael Jordan. A spectacular move. A critical sequence from Michael Jordan. Like, oh, my God. Marv Albert. Those were good times.
I loved Marv Albert. On the floor, off the floor, whatever.
I knew. I just, I put it on the tee. This is just batting practice for you. We're working on your form now.
It was great. And then they finished it all off with free throws and double overtime.
Yeah, they did.
Hey,
that's one little fly in the ointment for NBA games.
Now, either way.
Although I saw some big pass interference calls that totally altered games in the NFL, so I guess every sport has its foibles.
Yes, they certainly do. I want to get to that at some point, either today or tomorrow, because we got opening night tonight. Cavaliers taking on the New York Knicks. It takes a little bit of a hit. Josh Hart is out. Mitchell Robinson is out.
Karl-Anthony Towns, questionable.
Is questionable. He hurt his quad. Hurt his quad.
By the way,
Karl-Anthony Towns did.
They're making it sound like Darius Garland, if they really wanted to, could have played tonight.
I don't understand that. Like, I thought he'd be out for like a month and a half, 2 months at the beginning of the season, and now I brought this up with you yesterday. Like, Kenny Atkinson and him, they said it's a good argument. It's a good fight in a good way about him playing. And I'm like, you don't have to play. Don't play. You don't have to play.
Are the Cavs trying to prove how tough they are?
I don't want him to play. Like, this is, it's going to take away what I'm going to bring up at 7 o'clock, but the hell with it right now. I don't want him to play. The reason I don't want him to play is not because of anything other than I got to use this regular season for what it is. I know you're good. Everybody knows you're good. It's a formality in so many ways. And that's annoying for guys like you and me because you're going to have regular season games against the Magic. And if you win, great, that's what you're supposed to do. If you lose, there might be some fever there. I don't want to sit there and just go, like last year was a lot of fun. 17-game win streak, the whole thing, the frog, that whole deal. That was a lot of fun. And now, because you lost in the second round, it's just, well, wake me up when April gets here and let's see if you guys are a bunch of men. And I'm going, okay, if we're going to, and that's normal. It's the NBA. Like, that's what happens. But also, if I'm going to do it like that, then I need to use the regular season for what it should be, and that's a tune-up for the postseason. And I'm telling you, man, I keep making a big damn deal about it, and I'll shut up about it. Probably won't, but I'll try. I'll shut up about it. You gotta get him in there and see whether or not the offense is going to run through Evan. This thing is not going to work. Here I am with hardcore takes about him at 6:07 on opening night. This thing is not going to work if it doesn't go through Evan. It's that simple. It can't all be on Donovan. From Utah to Cleveland, it just can't all be on him. He is a spiritual leader. He is the veteran. He's the toughest guy on the team. That's all true, and it'll still be true. But if they want to get to where they want to go, to where they are $392 million on their roster, the most expensive roster in the NBA.
The only team in the vaunted second apron.
We are the Los Angeles Dodgers. Well, no, they won a championship. So we are the New York Mets right now of the NBA. Think about that. We are the New York Mets right now of the NBA. We are in the vaunted second apron. If you want to get to where you need to go, it's got to work with Evan. It's that simple, guys. It's that simple. And tonight, the beginning of all this and the regular season, so I don't need I don't need Darius to play at the beginning of the year. I want that true test, and he's not going to play, and hopefully he's not going to play for a while.
Yeah, I'm obviously pumped just as a big time basketball fan. Just the spillover from last night, and yeah, I knew when the dates came out for this game, I was kind of disappointed that their opener was in New York, and it was against a Knicks team that I think ultimately these are probably going to be the two teams, depending on the bracket and everything, when all is said and done, if everything goes the way it's supposed to, these are the two teams at the end of the year. And I just think tonight is unfortunately going to be a throwaway in terms of the outcome because it's so early in the season. Neither team is rushing back guys to play on the court. So in essence, it's kind of like a preseason game when it comes to just go out and no stakes. Like, what are the stakes? Like, are you gonna lose your mind if they lose? Are you gonna pound your chest if they win?
I think we'll get a couple of callers if they lose tonight that will be upset tomorrow. I think we'll get that. But overall,
so I don't think we'll see that if Evan looks like a monster, especially
that's a good point.
especially no Mitchell Robinson. He's been a thorn in the Cavs' side.
Yeah.
He's just made us look a little soft.
It's true.
In the past, and so that's the only thing. Like, this should be a game that Evan, especially if Karl Anthony Towns can't play either, then we've got a huge advantage. And look, we've got one sport in this town when it comes to the Browns where we're questioning, well, when are they going to get the quarterback, and do we have the right coach, and do we have the right GM, and we're not asking any of those questions with the Cavs. Like, the Cavs are just go out and watch them destroy teams. And I think there is fun in that. Like, it's not going to elicit as many arguments day in and day out about this team and how they're built. That'll come playoff time. But in the regular season, isn't it kind of fun to sit back and enjoy a team that more times than not will embarrass the opponent and will be a highlight run? Look, I like basketball as it is, so I could go watch any level of basketball. I'm going to be entertained. But this is such a high level of basketball that they've been playing the last few years in the regular season. Like, why wouldn't that be something that you'd gravitate towards if you're looking for entertainment, especially when it gets cold out, when you're not going to be outside, you're not mowing the lawn, you're not doing any of those things.
It's gonna be nasty.
When the weather turns, and it was starting to turn yesterday, man, did you see those clouds? Clouds were awesome. I was taking pictures down there.
Changed.
I know.
Things
These are the things you get excited
you.
about. But that's all I'm saying is, like Owen has said a few times, kind of on the air and behind the scenes, like, what does this matter? Well, what does anything matter? But this is the team that puts a smile on your face when you go to their games and you have an awesome time. Like, we don't always get that in Cleveland, so it's nice to have.
I want to know, though, do the Cavs have the most pressure on them in the NBA? And I'm not going to ask you that question. I want you to hear somebody else on it. Somebody who has a lot of history with the Cleveland Cavaliers said with Steve Nash on the Mind the Game pod, I think you know whose voice this is going to be. He thinks the Cavaliers have a lot of pressure on them.
You think about, Milwaukee now, where they can play with Giannis and Miles now.
That's right.
Think about Cleveland, with Allen and Mobley. They have to be able to, complement one another. So
that one's under a little pressure this year, I think.
Oh, that whole
at the end, they're going to be great.
Yeah.
They're going to be great. And
I think they're under the most pressure of any team coming into the season.
That's LeBron James with Steve Nash on the Mind the Game podcast. He says the Cavaliers have the most pressure of any team coming into the regular season. You sent that, and I go, well, doesn't his sciatic nerve have the most pressure of anybody coming into the... Okay. That's a cheap shot. We all have sciatica at some age. Thank you. Why is the reason that they do have so much pressure on them, LeBron?
Yeah, I think it's pressure from within. I think they saw the success they had last year and how well they play a great style of basketball, man. Play a great style of basketball. But I feel like if I was someone from the outside looking in, I feel like they're putting pressure on themselves to make the next jump. They're probably looking at, it could have been us versus OKC in the finals.
So I think he's right. I think that a lot of people feel that, this is a team that over the last couple of years has put an immense amount of pressure on themselves. However, I think the question is also, well, if you're going to have a lot of pressure on you, that means that everybody else has to take you very seriously as a threat to win an NBA title. Like the Bills, to me, have a lot of pressure on them because I think people would look at them and go, okay, you're the heir apparent. You got Josh Allen. I know the defense is a little scattershot, especially with the injuries. I can go on and on. I'm a football guy. That's how it goes. But I think that you think that they have a lot of pressure on them. As an outsider, I would see that. But as a person who's a Cavs fan, yeah, they got a ton of pressure on them. But I don't know if they're waking up in Milwaukee this morning or anything, and they're having these discussions after opening night and getting ready for everybody else's opening night. Are the Cavs the team that have the most pressure? I don't know if they think like that.
Well,
I really don't think they do.
It's weird because you'd ask, do they have internal pressure? When you're in the second apron, there's like no moves you can make. So this is your team. They really couldn't do a whole bunch. Their hands were tied, so they went and they took flyers on Lonzo Ball, who has never been able to be healthy, and they're hoping. Well, losing Ty Jerome, would you see he's injured already in Memphis? Mm-hmm. Losing Ty Jerome is a huge blow, at least in a regular season, because There was like no drop off when Darius Garland would go to the bench or when Donovan would go to the bench. Ty Jerome would just come in and look like the best player on the floor. That's gone. Lonzo's looked great in the preseason. The odds of Lonzo being there at the end, that's what, probably most would not bank on. That would be really nice to have. I'm looking at it from the perspective of every time I listen to anybody nationally, like everyone's like, yeah, Cavs are going to win the most games in the regular season in the East. And then when it comes to the playoffs, no one's scared of them. So that's the MO, or at least that's right now the perception of your Cavs until proven otherwise. And by the way, Donovan Mitchell doesn't really disagree. If you've seen anything that he said, like he's put a lot of pressure, I think, on himself. But, he's under contract, and there's no real big decision to be made with Donovan until the next year when we're talking player options and all that stuff. So will they get crushed? Will they get crushed the way that we crush, the James Harden teams, the Joel Embiid teams?
No.
If they don't get there?
Because Joel Embiid's a likable player. James Harden is not likable in so many ways.
But I'm talking about their teams. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying you're talking from an outsider perspective. I think in Cleveland, they're under a tremendous amount of pressure. Of the three teams, absolutely are under the most pressure. Because
then what happened? Why I ask that is, okay, what happens if they don't win the championship? What are they doing? There's very few moves they can make in that second apron. There's nothing you can do
except run it back. I do think, though, that it changes. Like 2 years ago, we blamed JB. I don't think we're just going to blame Kenny Atkinson, and that's going to be it if they go and they fall in the second round again of the playoffs. I think that a lot of people go, what's the roster? They're going to blame players. And this is why it's such an important regular season for Evan. You can see already, like the target will be on Evan. Like you're supposed to be the unicorn. You're not this. You're not that. You're going to cost us. It's the most expensive roster in the NBA. So that pressure goes on him. I think Donovan in so many ways is Teflon because he decided to stay. We'll see how that goes. I think Darius, obviously. But I think people are tired of ripping on Darius, at least as of now, and they're going to look at it and go, all right, Darius becomes a target because of it, but I don't know what moves you can make. Like, again, we do this whole wing, we need a wing. It's going to be the same story if it doesn't go well. Who's going to trade for a guard, their great wing, to help out our team? It's not going to happen that way. It's still the same game. At least that's what I'm seeing. So if it's still the same game, we're still going to have the same problems. So now you're stuck, and it just becomes, all right, like I think the players are going to have to deal with the heat from the fans. But I think outside of Cleveland, no, I think that everybody thinks they're a really great regular season team. I think the Cavs fans are going to be annoyed. Like, we're going to bring on Justin Termini and guys like that, and they're going to go, no, you guys are great in the regular season, whatever. And I think we're going to be annoyed. I think the team that does have the most pressure on them, easily the Knicks. Easily the Knicks. They made some strong moves. They've gotten further. Now it's time for them to put it together. I think that we're kind of, as a national story, you're going to be annoyed, but we're under the radar. As far as the big-time national stuff, and we'll have Tim Legler on. He's the number one analyst at ESPN. I think that people are going to circle the New York Knicks. Like, maybe Houston. Maybe.
Well, yeah, Kevin Durant's not getting any younger.
Yeah, but I don't look at Kevin Durant. Like, Kevin Durant's a great player, but it's also like he's the oh-yeah guy. Like when we talked about the generations of guys, like who are the greatest of this generation of basketball players, I think because he's done so much switching, I think a lot of people don't look at Kevin Durant the same way, even though he's still fabulous. 216-474-0092. Do you think the Cavs have the most pressure on them in the league? I think for a lot of Cavs fans, I think they say yes. But I think if you were to go anywhere else that's a basketball city in this country, I think they would probably look at somebody else. And they don't take us as seriously as we would want to be taken. And maybe that's a good thing for a lot of Cavs fans. Let me get to the Cavs question first. Do you think the Cavs have the most pressure on them?
I just can't say that it feels like that. I mean, maybe part of it's because they've just run back their team, and now they're kind of limited to the moves they can make. So it's like pressure means if it doesn't happen, oh boy. And I'm like, what happens? They'll just continue to bank on Evan Mobley getting better, which he might. I mean, that's the expectation, right? I mean, his trainer says he's going to be a top player in the league, like not like a top 10 player. Like he will be the number one guy in the league, according to his trainer. And I keep hearing more and more of that. And so it's been 5 years of hearing that. That's maybe I'd argue maybe there's a little more pressure on Evan Mobley.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a lot of pressure on him, but yeah. 216-474-0092. I totally agree with you. I think from a league perspective, and again, I want to ask That'll be the first thing I asked Tim Legler coming up at 8:20 this morning from ESPN. He's their number one guy. Like, do you, as an insider but an outsider, do you think the Cavs have the most pressure on them? And I think a lot of people would pick at least the Knicks before them. I think the Cavs are probably up there because, again, you look at the roster and you have to be able to pick them. I mean, they have to be up there, the expectations for them, but I think that Oklahoma City to repeat would probably have more pressure. Houston, because they got Kevin Durant, would probably have more pressure. The Knicks, to me, are number one as the team that has the most pressure. Cavaliers probably fourth, fifth on that list.
Don't you think the Lakers have more pressure than the Cavs?
I thought about them. They were a name
because of the Luka thing.
Yeah, they were a name that came to my mind, but I don't know where they're at because I got LeBron not starting a game in the regular season, the whole opening night for the first time in 23 years. They got Luka, but I think they're in a transition mode right now. And I don't know how much longer this is going to be. Like, I do believe that LeBron will do a retirement tour. So that puts him to next year, right?
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
So if he does that, they're still in this weird mode. It's the Lakers. There is pressure on them. But when I get to, like, real basketball, you got to win pressure. I don't see him up there. I thought of them, Owen, because they're the Lakers and
So
they got
it's
LeBron.
like 1996, 97 Lakers all over again.
Well, it's weird because them and the Warriors are going to get talked a ton as if they're the two best teams in the league, but nobody thinks they are. And so, their players aren't getting any younger, obviously.
Yeah, but they got the superstars, right?
Yeah.
To outdo OKC if it came down to crunch time.
In the old NBA, yeah. In this NBA, I don't think just having a couple superstars matters nearly as much. The league is like totally changed to where it's all about now having, 8 different guys that are all. You saw it against Indiana last year. Like, we had the stars in the series, supposedly. Of course, Halliburton played like a star.
Sorry, I was taking a sip of coffee. I thought I meant
OKC does have Lou Dort, right? Do they still have him?
You sent me down a rabbit hole real quick. I was thinking like early Del Harris Lakers. And then I go, is Del Harris still alive, ladies and gentlemen? Del Harris still with us.
Yeah.
Age 88. 216-474-0092. So the more you know. Tony in Mansfield. Tony, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are we doing?
We're doing wonderful, Tony. Go right on ahead.
Yeah, so 2 things. As far as your question goes, I don't see much pressure on the Cavs in the regular season. I mean, at least I don't feel that way until really we get towards the end of the season when playoffs kick off. But really, I see the pressure on Evan Mobley, and that goes to my second thing as far as, especially the first quarter of the regular season, is I want to see this offense really run through Evan Mobley for the first time. Not saying that we have to force the ball through Evan Mobley or our offense through Evan Mobley because you want to take what's there.
Yes.
But I just want to see Evan Mobley be that centerpiece and that more dominant individual that the offense can run through.
Yeah.
And kind of for him to, and we've talked about it year after year, really see him make that dominant jump to where the offense can run through him. And that's kind of what I'm looking for, especially the first quarter of the year. But as far as pressure goes, I don't really feel it. It's refreshing because, coming into this, I mean, I know we deal with the Browns, but to deal with the Cavs now, it's kind of, you can get nitty-gritty with them because we know that they're going to be good through the season. So it's like, what do we want to nitpick about and hopefully see them improve on their offense with Evan Mobley?
Tony, I think you're right about it, and thank you very much for the call. I think a lot of Cavs fans, I do think, I should take back it a little bit. I think that probably Darius Garland will be a lightning rod for controversy for a lot of fans. He's always been.
He will, for sure.
But I also think that Evan Mobley would probably be number one in terms of what are we doing with you? Are you going to be the type of player that we thought you were going to be, or are you just going to be a nice big man, and that's going to be the end of it?
Although nobody's going to want to get rid of Evan Mobley.
No.
But Darius, they will. If Darius this year is either unhealthy or plays in the playoffs, but it's been kind of like what it's looked like when he's played in the playoffs, which is a very lesser version of Darius, who's been an all-star, who's been, the first half of the season last year, he looked like all-NBA. If he's not that, fans, he'll be the one people will want to move on from. I mean, Jared Allen's already been in that category, but he's not the main. We say core four, but there's 3 guys. And that's why I would say pressure-wise is probably on Darius.